And today we have two great speakers I would like to introduce to you. We are thrilled to have Yunita Ong from LinkedIn as an editor and much more, based in Asia and Singapore. And also Christopher, head of talent acquisition of BioNTech, based in Mainz, close to Frankfurt. So
let's go. Also, should I jump in for the team introduction? Yeah. So thanks everyone. As Britta said, that we have been on the journey for the last couple of years, and with the support of this community of mentors and the expanding team. We started with a very small team of 2 to 3 people, and as you've seen, we've grown as we continue to reach more and more markets. We started because we really believe in this passion and our mission to help people reach their potential, because no matter which stage of your career, it's also very important that we continue to grow and reach our dreams, reach our ambitions as well. So it's part of what we want to do. And with for example, both our mothers drop out of work after they took their break. So this is really close to our heart. And as we grow, move forward, we have this team here with Margaret that's based, for instance, in Switzerland, Paula based in Belgium, Eugene based between California and France, Priyanka that's also here today based in India, and Laura Cinzia and Supriyo in Berlin, and Amina also with us in Frankfurt. So we have a team in different parts of the world, including also in Singapore. So as part of the some of the feedback from the last session, I mean, we're always very thankful. I think some of you in this group here have shared also your learnings and also what you felt after the last session. This is the 5th forum that we've run so far. So we also want to thank also the participants who have been there in the last few years as we continue to grow. And, some of you have relaunched and our mentees who have relaunched now becomes mentors themselves. So we really appreciate this cycle as well. And then one of the team milestones, I think, is also how do we leverage technology in order to support better recommendations also to our members who are looking at the relaunch journey, because it's in the clarity process, as Britta shared earlier. It also requires, what are the next steps in terms of upskilling, also in terms of work. So we are very proud also to share with all of you here that we have been awarded by the German federal government for our AI machine learning project to build the recommendations that is not just based on the past, but also looking into future interests, matching it to the individual values and career ambitions. So we will start this project with them in November. So we have more and more, I think, interest around the world of helping individuals in the mid-career relaunch, in particular, also to the group, which, for example, the women who are looking into a career transition or break after parental leave. We have fathers as well joining in. And then we have also, due to the pandemic, many individuals looking into who are even affected more by the career in their career because of the changing situations that requires more and more upskilling. So we are proud to also be able to bring and highlight through Handelsblatt, one of the important press here in Germany as well, and several others. So I'll give then the floor back to Britta.
Yeah, thanks, Carol. And then let's get started with the program, with the agenda of today. Let me first introduce then Yunita Ong, who is going to talk about the power of networking on LinkedIn, but also how she would recommend to build a personal board of directors. I think that's also a topic you like to talk about, Yunita. So Yunita is an editor for LinkedIn news and covering, and you are covering Asia, including also coming from Singapore. Your mission is to provide professionals like all of us with the news and views we need to stay informed and succeed in our career. And you've been also a journalist from Columbia University, and also the youngest member in your class. You lived in Singapore, New York, and Chicago. And outside of work, you weave, knit, and you are also a casual yoga practitioner. So welcome, Yunita. It's a pleasure to have you, and the stage is now yours.
Oh gosh, I forgot to unmute myself, which is funny given that we've all been in this pandemic for a while. I should really know that, right? But anyway, hi everyone. My name is Yunita again. Thank you, Britta, for the lovely, lovely introduction. And it's really nice to be spending this Friday together with you guys and with all of you. And I'm also heartened that you're taking this time to think about ways to accelerate your career. It's a wonderful thing to do, and really, really respect and admire that. So I want to keep this. I have some slides, but I thought I would just keep the beginning a little bit formal. We can pivot to the slides, and then we can kind of turn back, and of course, head it back to Christopher. So I'm just going to start by talking a bit about this idea of a personal board of directors and where it comes from, right? I think that it essentially comes from this idea that all of us are almost like the CEOs of our career, right? No one else, basically career is not like school when, basically we all kind of went through, first grade to high school and so on and so forth, but we are really driving it. And if we think about ourselves like, a business or, our own kind of, we're running our own ship, then just like a company, we often will want to have a group of people who can advise us, just like a company has a board of directors. Of course, it all sounds incredibly formal, but I think essentially what it comes down to, and here's where I'm going to pivot quickly to my slides, is, and let me know if you're not seeing the right thing. Are you seeing the right thing?
Looks good.
Okay, great. Yeah, so if that, I know it all sounds terribly formal, but what it does come down to that is the idea of you have this ready group of people that you can consult regularly to get advice and feedback on what you're doing in your career. And they don't have to be people who like know each other. They don't have to be given like a formal title, but it's basically kind of informal go-to group of people that you trust, your advice, do you trust? And just like how, when we are at home, we are often thinking about, let's say like, hey, like, who do I consult to get the best recipes? When the plumbing is broken, who do I ask? Different people in our career can, on this personal board of directors, can have different specialty roles, right? So, going on to my next slide, essentially, you can have a whole bunch of people providing different types of expertise and advice on how you can continue to develop your career. This is not an exhaustive list, but I'm just going to run through a few examples. So an easy one, of course, is managers, right? I mean, for most people, who often are, privileged enough to be working right now or has a job, that can be someone who right there in your role can help you unblock problems, align your work to your talents. But there are other people. Another great one that I think almost all of us often have is peers. That good friend of yours that knows you really well, cheers and supports you through difficult times. Maybe it's someone who is a bit of a mentor to you, someone who can advise you on issues. Someone who's a connector, right? Someone who can be able to introduce you to new opportunities. So wherever you are in your career journey, there are a whole bunch of people that you can try to, basically have in mind to be that go-to person. You're having a bad day, go to your peer. Maybe you're facing a really tough decision. You can go to a coach or a mentor who can guide you, advise you, provide this perspective from a more mature and experienced point of view. maybe you're hoping to make a switch within your company. Maybe a sponsor can advocate for you to get to places. So here are just some examples. These are just some examples. You may find that throughout your journey, you may need, people who play different kinds of roles, and you can kind of cultivate them along the way. But I think that brings us to our next point, right? Which is having known this, what are some ways to get started assembling your board of directors? I'm going to give some basic quick tips first, and then we'll kind of pivot to how you can possibly use LinkedIn to build your network and hence your personal board of directors. So I think first, I always suggest to people that, my friends and people whom I coach as part of my LinkedIn coaches program, to just start with people you regularly keep in touch with. I think the term personal board of directors is a great analogy, but sometimes we get really scared and we're like, oh gosh, this feels so formal. But I think it can really all begin with maybe, catching up with an ex-boss that you really love working with and you really respected, some ex-colleagues that, maybe you've lost a bit of touch with, but they've always been great advocates for your work. Maybe starting with those people and starting to build the confidence towards reaching out to people that, you may never have met before, but could still be really open to helping and talking to you. But that could be one way to start, go with the people that you already know, get some quick wins out of the way, and have those people to support you first. The second is, having said that, as you evaluate all the people you know in your phone book, in your email contacts, you can filter them by thinking, do they know something more than you about something? Are they better than you at something? Or do they offer a different point of view? Do they have, better connections in a certain area they're looking at? So that helps you kind of refine who you want to add to your personal board of directors and helps you say, hey, I'm going to, hang out, I'm going to talk to Carolina because she is a great connector of people and she's going to be able to introduce me to all these people in a conference industry, for example, right? So that's one way you can definitely do this, or maybe it will be, hey, I want to network with, I want to get to know Cindy because she's a great coach. I know Cindy and she's in the audience right now. So maybe, I want to talk to Cindy because she is a great coach and maybe I could engage her to, provide me advice as I go along a certain journey, for example. And the third is it can be really informal. You don't have to reach out and say, hey, I would like to put you on my personal board of directors or anything like that. But it kind of helps for you to mentally be like, okay, that's my person for this. This my person for that. And when it comes to talking and catching up with them, it can be pretty informal. It can be just asking for advice, asking for feedback, maybe just saying, hey, can you tell me a bit more about experience to start with, or something like that. But yeah, so with that, I'm just going to quickly turn over to, using LinkedIn to network. I'll get through as much as I can in this 10 minutes. Hand over to Christopher, and then, happy to pick it up again. But essentially, when we talk about building a professional network, there are a few things you can do on LinkedIn, which is to, discover existing connections, people that you already know, search for new connections, and also, expand it strategically. Having a great network is pretty, a big network is pretty great for many reasons, particularly in the job market where, 50%+ of hires on LinkedIn resulted from basically having a personal connection with each other. And, on LinkedIn, I think you may have noticed that we have, different kinds of connections from first to third degree. But if you think about it, the multiplier effect is amazing, right? So basically, almost 100% of LinkedIn connections have, I'm just going to skip that for a bit. But essentially, what this shows is that, basically you are this person in the center, 3 people, right? But keep in mind the fact that these 3 people know a whole bunch of other people. And those connections may be weaker, but you have that person in common. And so that might actually, yield another universe of people from different industries, who may be able to help you. And then that person knows another. And the thing is that often we tend to think about the people in our first kind of circle as being the most important. But the third degree is actually very powerful because research has shown that, our weak connections are sometimes often more valuable for things like your job search because their networks are so diverse. And, let's say I work in editing, but I know a bunch of friends in finance, and those friends in finance might know people in accounting, but I don't know a lot of people in accounting, for example. So, going down that kind of little rabbit hole can sometimes really yield you kind of amazing results. And the great thing is on LinkedIn, you are able to, connect with people who, you may have mutual friends in common and start building those kind of weak but potentially very useful ties out. So moving on from here, I'm going to be talking a lot about I'm going to be showcasing some examples for LinkedIn, but I think these templates for outreach can be useful for email or other ways that you may want to building your network as well. So, basically, you could reach out to someone whom you have a mutual connection in common and kind of really, first of all, just say, hey, this is how I found you. This is what this is like my objective of connecting with you or getting to know you better because, you're exploring career paths in tech, right? That's very clear so that the second degree person reads it and knows, hey, like this person is coming here with this kind of, intent in mind. It can feel uncomfortable and nerve-wracking, but I always tell people that, give it a go. Because, it's good to give it a go because what's the worst case that could happen? It kind of, someone doesn't see it, maybe forgets about it, but you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take, right? So that's something that I always suggest to keep in mind. The other is, and I'm just going to go through a few other connections, a few other slides, and I'm just going to hand over to Christopher to make sure that he's got the time that he needs, because I know we're running a bit over 10 minutes now. But essentially, just a few other tips on ways that you can discover connections and search for new connections. One of them is going to be, clicking the My Network tab at the top navigation bar. Basically, LinkedIn will suggest people that you think you may already know. Or you can also, basically, as you can see, there's this like section where you can add, a personal, add some, connect your LinkedIn to your personal email through which that they'll pull out a bunch of people that, you might already talk to on email, like in another context, but you're going to be able to much more easily pull out their LinkedIn profile and add them. So that's kind of one way to go about it. And, as it mentions, as this mentions, this gets better, smarter and smarter the more people you add. Often the case of data, right? So adding more and more people that you already know helps, LinkedIn help you better. And then finally, I think searching for new connections is also another way to go about this. I don't think this is really specific to searching for connections. I don't think new connections, but existing connections as well. Let's say you just met someone or, a while back, you remember you want to reconnect with this person, you can sort of, do the search bar and quickly, find new connections, and you can filter really quickly, right? By their current company, their location. You can even search by past company, which I think is pretty cool. You can search by keyword as well. So, sometimes I even searched like the first name plus a keyword, and I quite quickly find that person that I was looking for, especially, like, oh yeah, I remember that, like, Britta from EdaHit. I don't remember her last name, but I can just quickly search and, and that often leads me to these lost connections. And I think finally, let's see. Yeah, so basically one thing, just to wrap up my section quickly, one thing I always suggest to people kind of connecting to others on LinkedIn is always to add a little note. When you write an invite, I think it makes an invite pop a bit more, like the previous example that I showed. Like, it's always good to have a clear reason for connecting. So, and I think it just makes people feel that, they get something, they understand why they're here to help you, or they understand, the purpose of, connecting with you. And it feels a little bit less, it basically feels more targeted. and in a good way, right? Because they know why you're reaching out, they know how they can help you in the future, and how they know how to support you in the future. And maybe if you bring up a mutual connection, they'll be like, great, that's it. There'll be that sense of warmth that leads to a successful connect. So I'm just going to stop here. I'm going to pass over Christopher quickly, and then and I've got a little bit more to go. So if there's time, I'm happy to kind of continue presenting a little bit on how else you can use LinkedIn to reach out in different contexts. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much, Yunita, for sharing with us your view on also the personal board of directors, which you also like, and also the power of networking for our community. It's so important, and more and more so. And I'm sure that a lot of us, our participants, have a lot of questions, but we come to that then in a combined Q&A later on after Christopher's presentation. And I'm also having quite some questions here, so stay with us. And now I would like to introduce to you, and have the pleasure to do so, Kristoff Lauwitz from BioNTech, Director of Talent Acquisition. And he has quite a range of expertise from talent acquisition, management, developing also comprehensive recruitment strategies, has a proven experience in-house as well as with agency recruitments and RPOs. And now he is with BioNTech and is facing a very fast growing company, both in Germany as well as globally, in the center of a lot of things going on, especially with the pandemic. This is a special time and a hyper-growth time here. So welcome, Christopher, and the stage is yours, and I'm happy that you could make it.
Thank you so much, Britta. and again, thanks to all of you so I can attend this meeting today, and thank you for this warm welcome, Britta. What shall I say more about me? So let me share my screen to guide you through what I want to show you today. Can you see what I see? So it's a PDF document. I hope this is okay for you.
Christopher, you need to make it full screen so that we can see it better.
Where can I add full screen?
You go to Anzeige.
Or I can maybe I can just take the Excel sheet that makes the PowerPoint sheet that makes it pretty simple. Just give me a second. Here we go. Can you see what I see now?
Yes, perfect.
Perfect.
Oh, wonderful, great, good. So, and again, thanks, Yunita, for this wonderful presentation and some deeper insights on the usage of LinkedIn. And I already found some connections to what I'm going to say, especially by using the full potential of social networks such as LinkedIn is, and I think we can also find some similarities also in the later discussion, hopefully. Yeah. So what I want to show you today is just a brief introduction of myself, but I would keep it short because Britta always also introduced myself, and maybe giving some insights. I'm sorry, it's still some insights on BioNTech for those who still don't know us. But I also wanted to keep it short for now because it's not a marketing session for our company. I would rather focus on say how to connect and engage with companies. So this would be the agenda for today, and also let's say introducing or showing the company's the employer perspective. So what are the board of directors, the manager, let's say, looking at, and what is important for them if you want to reach out, because I think this is very important that you're clear on what you want before you reach out to get a better understanding. So who is BioNTech? BioNTech is I think we are, let's say, more or less omnipresent in the media and the news these days. So I don't want to go too far. But the idea of BioNTech is just to use the full potential of the immune system in order to address various diseases such as cancer or infectious diseases. And as we all learned, unfortunately, by the pandemic situation that we have now, we are one of the providers to the vaccine for the COVID-19 pandemic. Just at a glance, what are we doing? We are based in Mainz. We are focusing on oncology field, so cancer treatment, with a very clear immunotherapeutic personal approach, but also with infectious diseases. We are, as Britta just mentioned, on a hypergrowth phase so far. So on one side, by using the momentum of our COVID-19 vaccine, but also by just pushing our pipeline, because in the next years we want to launch our first oncology product. So this is what we're all aiming at and working for and are passionate about. And now we are at about 3,000 headcounts globally. Expanding ourselves also globally into APAC. So Singapore is one more site. So hopefully we can meet up, Yunita, someday. And we are really looking out for talents. So bringing talents in-house, bringing especially the right talents in-house. This is something that we are really looking for. So maybe just some quick words about me. And who I am, as Britta mentioned, Christopher, my name. I'm now with BioNTech for 3 years, and I was looking, okay, how can I present myself? What can I tell about myself? And I found a link in a way not clearly matching to the 3 C's that you're just doing with your initiatives, which I really appreciate. But it comes a bit nearer to my path and how I developed myself. So when I started, I was bioeducation. I'm a sociologist, and I had nothing to do with HR or with recruitment or whatever. I had no idea of this, and I was in the scientific fields when I started, and I then, let's say, relaunched my career because it was something I didn't want to do anymore. And then I thought about myself, okay, what do I want to do? What is something which I can do, and where do I want to be? And it became, let's say, clearer that the HR field, recruitment, the talent acquisition field is something that I wanted to do, and where I see myself. So I got connected, and I connected with people in these fields to learn from and to let's say further develop. And this is what then happened. I got into the recruitment field, and then ended up with being let's say talent acquisition at BioNTech. So just keep it quick. I like the idea, and I like this approach, and I felt a bit connected to this. So when we look at the pipeline at BioNTech, how do we do this, especially with this immense growth? It is that by in a target picture, what is in progress is that we are creating a pool of talents. Yeah. And as you can see, what I want to highlight is the upper box that you're seeing here: engage candidates regularly. And there also you see social media such as LinkedIn or Twitter. I will come to later on. So from a company perspective, we learned that we have to reach out in different ways and different channels to candidates and stay connected to them. So this is very important, especially in a transformation phase like we are. And the idea is, no matter where you come from, the idea is how do you present yourself and what do you want? And this is what the companies want to see. And I think it becomes more and more clearer to the companies, especially given in a very competitive market such as in Europe or in Germany, in detail that that the field of selection becomes more and more important. So therefore, I can only underline what just Yunita said: present yourself professionally, but also personally, to provide a good first insight and picture of yourself. So how could we do this, or how could we come to this, and how to connect? So what I found out is maybe some 4 major points I would propose. We generally speaking, we have the general application, we have a talent community, and what is getting more and more important I want to talk about is, let's say, more the informal ways of getting attention or attraction, right? And before you doing so, I think there are more or less some further steps beforehand where you need to, let's say, do some preparation before you reach out. And this is what I just said, what connects to Yunita. So what do you want is very important. If you have it, be confident, make yourself visible by using the channels, and really get connected, and just go out and reach out to the respective persons. Yeah, these are, let's say, 4 points I would see from a let's say recruitment or industry standpoint. What is meant by what do you want? Well, it is just clarifying expectations. To be honest, sometimes if you're being approached by persons via social networks, you receive a lot of requests, honestly, from interested people, but having no idea what they really want to do and what they really want to look out for. So, and this is sometimes really difficult then to find the right match for you. And I think therefore you need to be sure what is important for you, what is your point, what do you want, and how do you address that? Especially managers or board of directors, they're super busy. So what you need to bring to the point is a concrete idea. What is your idea, and what do you really want to address and provide an insights? Yeah, and I can only underline that this also goes hand in hand with, let's say, a further skill set, even if you're relaunching your career and want to go back to work. Next point would be then, let's say, yeah, be confident and just do it. If you're coming from a different background and just let's say relaunching your career, make yourself clear what is your selling story and what you're passionate about, and try to answer the why, and to differentiate yourself. A lot of companies are looking not only for functional expertise, they're also looking for the right persons. Yeah, and I think this is something which is getting more and more important from my perspective. So who's the one person behind the LinkedIn profile? Who's the person behind the resume? And what is he interested about? What is his passion in doing things? What drives him? And I think this is something, if you have a closer look at yourself or get some help, it really can shape yourself in order to find the next step or the next level in your career path. And then next thing is then, yeah, make yourself visible. So use the full potential of social media. So LinkedIn is something which is pretty common, and I can say LinkedIn is just wonderful for getting connected. There's much more than just sending invites to some persons. You have some forums, you have events, and so on. I think Yunita can later on jump in. So there's much more potential to it, and I think this is very important. But also use further further social media. You can use Xing, which is more in the European region, or in the German and Austrian and Switzerland region, well known. You can use Twitter, but it is more a niche channel, so you have to be clear where you want to present yourself. But also use specific job boards or communities for respective functional feeds, such as legal or maybe HR or whatever. But first of all, you need to know, what do you want? And then you can also, let's say, have a more target-oriented idea on how to use social media in a way, because it's a pretty easy way to reach out to a broader part of people. And create a self-describing profile. This is something which is very important. So what I always like is professional and personal, which means, for sure, it is important to provide insights on what can you do, what is your expertise, but also find a way again to differentiate yourself. And it can be something like on LinkedIn. I would say, what do you follow? What are things you like, and so on. So this is something which also, let's say, provides a broader picture of yourself. And what I can say is, events and career fairs is something which is something we benefit from as BioNTech. When just saying, a hiring manager just came to me and said, "Hey, I was at this fair and I met this person. We had just a 5-minute discussion. Great guy. I could imagine that he's a great fit, not only from a functional side, but also he's just a great guy. And he knows what he wants and he's passionate about what he's doing." And then you got the connection. So also these are just platforms you should use. And also, if we're speaking about multiplicators, headhunters is something which is sometimes underestimated, but headhunters can be a good way to, with their network, to just expand your network. Yeah, so I can only recommend and encourage you to also check in with let's say, functional experts for different fields and areas, and getting connected and in touch with headhunters who know their business, because they can really help you. Yeah, and yeah, finally, then just get connected. Yeah, get connected. Go out, speak to industry leaders, board of directors, to recruiters, and companies as a whole. But I could imagine, or I think it's important to do your work beforehand, because especially experienced leaders, especially experienced recruiters or headhunters, they really know what you're saying, when you're saying, and how do you saying it. So if you're not sure, then they will notice it. But don't be too shy, just do it, because you have nothing to lose on this. And reach out to them, look for touch points, keep networking, use the informal ways, as just mentioned, and just keep them up to date. Yeah, just keep them up to date through your networks, and try to keep up with them. It's not only just let's say, accepting an invite or just sending out an invite. It's also just present yourself and keep yourself visible. I think this is something which is a point you can really benefit from. Yeah. So this is something I would encourage to proceed with, and what from a company perspective would is something we would benefit in order to just give yourself some ideas how you can prepare yourself in order to relaunch your career in a way. Okay.
Some questions.
I don't know if I just took too much time, but that's it for now from my side. I hope you got some takeaways from it, and I hope I could provide some ideas how we look at things from another perspective, which hopefully helps you in a way to get an idea what is therefore of interest of yours.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Christopher, for giving us an insight of what is the thought process also of an employer's perspective if it comes to visibility, engagement, and also, yeah, how to communicate with an employer you are interested in. And I think Yunita also, as you described within your presentation, how to reach out, also being concrete and, you know, confident in reaching out and be clear about what you want, but also at the same time create, yeah, a bond before, yeah, demanding things. I think is also important. And in terms of confidence, you know, if you relaunch your career, we within our community, sometimes our members are not on their peak of their confidence. And I would like to ask you, both of you, your perspective also on what would you recommend, how can they reconnect or approach, especially not only looking at their past and present experience, but also they want to look into their future. So how could they build that bridge to connect with BioNTech or via LinkedIn to do that? I think if you are having a job, then it is not as complicated sometimes, but when you step out, probably there is a lack of confidence. And would you have some views on that? I think that would be very helpful. Who wants to start?
I can start. So I see your point. I get your point. You're right. So if you're not in the peak of your career, how do you connect in the right way, and what can you do? I think the idea is not to, as you said, just too much focus on the past, what you have done or maybe not done. I think the idea or the approach is what is your takeaway from that, and where do you want to be? Meaning that what brought you here, what brought you to this point in a way, and what is the what we always ask is what is the package the person is bringing in, but not looking too detailed into the resume, right? And if you're always saying go for character, not only for expertise, then this is the point where we should go for. And if you have a clear understanding and idea what your next step shall be, just try to point that out step by step, and to focus on this on that side. As this is something what I can say, and also underline it with, let's say, some further development in a certain skill set, or some personal development in what you said or whatever. So try to focus on the future and not on the past, because this is something what we're looking for, especially when you interested in a certain role or function. Speak about the function and what you're bringing into that. Don't just always speak about the past stations of your resume, because this is then not always of interest. If you are having a good conversation with the company, they will find out without just touching and diving too deep into every bullet point of your resume. And I think this is something I would recommend, and would then expect from a candidate, especially having this or bringing this, let's say, background. But we should not overrate this.
Okay, thanks. I think, looking or focusing on the future and what you can bring with yourself and what you can still accomplish and also are willing to learn, I think is something to look at. Also, Yunita, what is your view on that? And also, we have a question to you. Also, could you search by industry in a particular location on LinkedIn? But I also let you jump into the first question.
Yeah, I'll take the first question first. I think from a networking kind of perspective, as someone building my career myself and having gone through ups and downs myself, I would say that there is a definite benefit. And it's definitely okay to sometimes be kind of vulnerable and honest when asking for help, when asking for your journey. And it is a very difficult place to put yourself in. But I think the reality is that when we are kind of at a drought, everything around us look like, you know, peaks. And so it can feel so intimidating, right? But a lot of people that you might be reaching out to may have been in your position before. They may have taken a career break themselves. They may have struggled. They may have, you know, gone through their own ups and downs. And I think that by sharing your story, some of the benefits that comes out from it is that, first of all, people know exactly how to help you. You're not you're not presenting yourself in a different way that, you know, and then leading, you know, they need the context of, you know, where you're coming from to be able to know how they can, you know, coach you, guide you, mentor you, encourage you, right? And I think that actually that is, you know, that's really very much it. And I think the second thing is that sometimes it creates a space for a much more powerful connection when you've put yourself out there and shown that, yeah, you trust this person. And in fact, I think that often gets a lot of people a lot more respect. I remember coaching someone who has been through a lot of adversity, including divorce and, you know, and you know, mental health issues. And when she shared that with me, I was honestly floored by the level of resilience she had, and that made me want to help her even more, right? So because I saw the potential that she had, not just in career, but in other parts of her life. So I think that that's something worth doing. It's always hard to be vulnerable because the world is a very difficult place, and there will be, unfortunately, there are going to be people who are going to be mean and not great people. And I think the way that I personally tend to do it is to start by crafting like one sentence, maybe first, like a very blanket, like, you know, maybe, you know, I'm just trying to come back to the workplace, you know, workforce after like X years. And if you're not so sure, test that out first and just see what happens, you know, just dip your toe in the water. And if you get a bad response, maybe you can just leave it at that. But if you get like a good response, maybe it's good to, you know, share a little bit more about that. But I think at the end of the day, some degree of honesty can, you know, often help you get the help that you need. So those are some of my thoughts.
There's one thing I would like to just came to my mind, and I would like to add to this is I said if you're not in a peak and not too confident about the relaunch of your career and you're getting in touch with a company or with managers or whatever, just from a candidate's perspective, I think modern companies have to understand that career paths are different, right? And not the clear path that we maybe had years or decades ago. And if you get the sense that conversations or interviews get into this direction, and just finger pointing on past and here, what haven't you done here, what haven't you done here? Well, ask yourself, is this the right company for me, right? So it's just it's an eye on eye level, or it should be an eye on eye level. So find your confidence in terms, hey, do I really want to work there? Is that all that they're interested in? Yeah. Really? So it's just the other way. Think the other way around, and I think this is something I just wanted to just add.
I love that, Christopher. We have to change. I think our mindset can do a lot, or switch the mindset. Not only I am looking for a job, but also, you know, the employer needs me as a talent. So why not also looking out and search for the right one? So let's have one last question also from the participants to both of you, Yunita and Christopher. How do I start looking for connections who could help me to become a remote freelancer, for example, in tech digitalization? as the current network of RENA, for example, consists mostly of banking and finance context. So how can I manage this switch? And that refers a lot to how can I look into the future and not only in the past.
Can I take this question, because I also owe Angeline an answer. I'm just going to answer. I'm just going to answer 3 questions in one shot. Okay. Let me just quickly share my screen to show Angeline how she can do this. I think this one. You can see my LinkedIn, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we do.
Sorry, Christopher, I was totally stalking you.
Oh, this is me, right?
So let's say I am looking to connect with Christopher,
okay.
right?
So I'm happy to connect with all of you afterwards. So there's my profile. You can just always reach out to me.
But that's great. Your first connection. But essentially, if you want to connect with someone by industry, you can click all filters. You'll be able to choose. I don't know, you can choose industry of pharmaceutical. You could search, you could search pharmaceutical, and then maybe someone who works in bio and tech. Maybe someone currently works in bio and tech, and somewhere in there. Great, see, you can see that Christopher is, one of the people who popped up, for example. So that's one way you can do that. I also want to quickly jump on Christopher's point about, interviewing and remembering your strengths, because they're interviewing you as much as you are interviewing them. And it's also important to remember your strengths as a job seeker. That's also why having a personal board of directors is important, because you want to have those people who can cheer you and support you and remind you of your strengths. And no matter where you are in your journey, you do have strengths that you can tap on, and you need people to always remind you. So with that, last question is going to be, about how looking for connections, right? From someone who's outside of the industry, a little bit far away. I would suggest, there are a few things that you could do potentially on LinkedIn. I think Christopher has covered it a little bit. Part of it involves joining groups and communities. For example, like LinkedIn has a remote workers group, actually. Remote workers on LinkedIn, I believe. That's the name of the group. And I can put it in the chat. And that could be one of the communities that you can join. I'm sure Facebook or other, there might be a Discord channel out there. I'm not saying that you should only join LinkedIn groups. Join all the groups you want on any platform. Another could be really just tapping again on that space of banking and finance context, because that banking and finance context may know someone who works in tech, and then that could get you a little bit closer to where you want to go. And I think finally, sometimes honestly, what I do is to do profile searches. I'll look for people who currently work in tech. Maybe I'll look for someone, I'll search the word freelance in, let's say, in Germany or in Singapore, and I'll kind of just go through and I'll filter by the connections. So I'll try for 1st degree, 2nd degree, 3rd degree connections. I'll start with the 2nd because we have an acquaintance in common. And then, I'll just cold reach out to them and say, hey, I want to become a remote freelancer. How do I do that? And by the way, I'm friends with Britta. That's why I'm reaching out to you, for example. So that's something that you could definitely consider doing. And that's how I, answer 3 questions in one.
Thank you so much, Yunita. Unfortunately, we now have to come to an end, and I know you, you also already offered to everyone that they could connect to you for further questions. Thank you so much, Christopher and Yunita, to come in today to share about how to connect, how to better use networking for your career relaunch, and how to build your personal board of directors. And we are now trying to raise also the confidence level by introducing now the Mentor Lounge to our participants. And in the background, our team is already matching the mentors and mentees who were interested in the Mentor Lounge. And I would love to invite now Christine Fink from Cosnova our sponsor for the Mentor Lounge to say a few words, and then we will start in a minute with the Mentor Lounge, hopefully in time. Christina, are you there?
Okay. Thank you, Britta. Yeah, happy Friday to all of you. And yes, it's always a pleasure to join the network and also the meeting. And it's wonderful to see how people develop, because I'm with you or with the and ahead since the beginning, and I'm very proud that to be also a mentor. And as I recognize, there are some mentees which became or who became mentors now, and this is a great development. So a great success for the format we joined today. And yeah, and also Cosnova is very happy to support this format, because we think for women, but also for men, it's very important to think about their career and yeah, are aware of their full potential. And so we are happy to join and happy to support the format today.
Thank you so much, Christina. And we wish everyone now happy matching, kind of. And for all of you who are not going to be matched, there is a parallel program by our dear friend and supporter Amina Carter, who is going to talk about resilience in that process of a career relaunch. And thanks again to all of you coming in to this forum and this community, which you said, Christina, that it's not a one-way thing to be part of and ahead. You can start, become a participant of the forum, then get some advice, coaching, mentoring, and then with your next step into your career, you become a mentor, a supporter, or even a client, a corporate partner. So this is a community, and we feel we are honored that everyone here supports this this community and puts their hearts also into it. Yeah, we are really proud.
Yeah, should we ask Amina to say a few words?
And Amina, do you want to give an introduction to what you are talking to about in a few minutes while we are matching?
Yes, of course, love to. I will speak about resilience and the power of meaningful connections and the power of a well-established network. Because since we are here to build community, to build a network, I really want to put an emphasis on it, how it helps us with our resilience. So when we are in a difficult situation or when we are dealing with stresses, how our community can help and support us. And this is so important in these times right now.
Really looking forward.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amina. All right, so I'm going to stop share. Thank you to all the mentors for coming in. We know it's a Friday, so thank you for giving your Friday, part of your Friday to the community, supporting everyone in their relaunch journey, having this important conversations. We are going to start the breakout rooms soon. So everyone would have a breakout room with your names assigned. You would have received also the email matching you for those, because we have only limited slots for the mentoring lounge. So for those who are not then assigned to a mentor, we can always reconnect after, so don't feel bad about it. And then we can also put you then into a workshop that will be led by Amina. So the room is going to start right now. you would have usually at the bottom of your screen a little sign or note alert that says that you should join the breakout rooms. So if you don't see it, let us know, but just go to the breakout room with your names, or for those who are not matched, then please go into the workshop room with Amina. Usually we will move you there directly, but if you're not moved there, then please feel free to click it. Enjoy the mentoring and also the workshop with Amina. We look forward, and then see you back soon. Any questions, we will leave also a number in case you need our help. We will join you then in the breakout room. But once you join the breakout room, please wait a bit. Don't come back out, because then it's a bit tricky to manage that after.